Thank you, Pat, so much. Good to see you, and thank you for always being a part of this wonderful gathering. And I appreciate the word unrelenting, because that is what it takes. And so many people in this room understand that's what it takes to achieve anything in life. And we're certainly going to be acknowledging the great educators that we're honoring today. They had that and have that unrelenting spirit and that approach that allows them to do great things. So I want to just say at the outset, it's so important. It is so important to honor educators. I like to make the analogy to the time I was growing up when we put astronauts on a pedestal in the early 1960s. That was the ultimate thing to be for a lot of young people. That was what we admired. That was talked about as an example of heroism, and fairly so. But the world's changed in a number of ways. One of the things we're still taking stock of is the fact that education is more important than ever before, literally more necessary than ever before. Education determines destiny more today than at any point in previous human history. It certainly determines economic destiny more than ever before. Ergo, educators become the center of so much in our society because they are providing the pathway forward. And they become heroes when they get it right. And I think the vast majority of them do get it right. They become heroes because they're uplifting not only a group of individual children, they're uplifting the entire society. We are a society that desperately must become more educated more quickly for every reason, morally, in terms of a fair and just society, but certainly in terms of the reality of global competition and the kind of workforce we need as well. So honoring educators is crucial because it is putting things in their proper perspective. And I don't think anyone's going to be shocked if I say for many years and decades, educators were not given the credit they deserve. These kind of gatherings, I want to thank the Daily News for it, these kind of gatherings put things in proper perspective and help us focus on what really matters. Now, to Pat's point, I have attempted relentlessly to focus our administration on education, starting with pre-K, of course, but it's all part of a vision we call equity and excellence. I just want to make a simple point about it. Here's someplace we have to go in the city. We have to leave behind decades and decades of the notion of quote-unquote good schools and quote-unquote bad schools. And everyone in this room knows what I'm talking about, and ask any New Yorker, and they will identify that reality. And it is bankrupt, and it's a thing of the past, and we have to get beyond it. Because if education determines destiny more than ever before in society, then so long as we accept the notion of a quote-unquote bad school that being part of the status quo, we are damning those children not to succeed. Equity and excellence is very simple, and it is the governing philosophy of this administration. It says every school must be brought to a level of excellence. Every school. It's not a debatable point, and there is no school that can't be reached. And it says we have to do that with fairness and equity across all communities. Very simple point, advanced placement courses. They're going to be in every high school in the next few years. We're no longer going to accept the notion that some high schools are the place where kids go who are on their way to college and they have advanced placement courses, and other high schools have none. We're not accepting that because it doesn't fit the reality of our society. So that's what equity and excellence is about. And it depends on great educators. It depends on growing more great educators. That's why we're so focused on professional development in particular. It depends on recruiting great educators into our system. It depends on retaining great educators, rewarding those who are great who become master and model teachers, or maybe on the way to becoming principals. So this is the way forward. And we're going to take every opportunity to celebrate our educators, and I'm so happy we're doing it here today. I want to thank the Daily News for doing this and for making it a focal point. It is very important to this city. I want to thank, of course, Mort Zuckerman for your leadership. I want to thank Bill Holliber and Jim Rich, everyone at the News, for making this a priority. I want to thank, of course, our school's chancellor, Carmen Farina, who's doing an outstanding job. 51st year in education for Carmen, by the way. She's just warming up. And from, of course, CUNY, our colleague, Chancellor James Milliken, thank you for your leadership and your partnership. And from Labor, Michael Mulgrew, Ernie Logan, thank you for all you do and for working with us every day. So I just want to say I got my start organically as a school board member and as a public school parent. And I got to know so many good educators, and I got to see how they change people's lives. I got to see it with my own children. I got to see how Chiara and Dante benefited from the great teachers in their lives. And this, to me, is why honoring great teachers is simply a recognition of the lives we lead, and that understanding a single teacher in a single moment can change a child's life forever. And I get the honor today of recognizing one of them, Kevin O'Connor. And this is a beautiful story, and I think you know by now, a story with a very sad ending. He passed away in April. He was soon to retire. But he gave it all he had. He left it all on the playing field, and his students knew it, and they felt it. He was a social studies teacher and a dean, taught for nearly 2 decades at Francis Lewis High School and Campus Magnet High School in Queens. And he was someone who did not know the meaning of a traditional work schedule. He stayed as long as it took to help his kids. He connected with them. He had an emotional bond with them. And part of it is, and it's painful to say, and we've experienced this in my family as well, but part of why he understood the challenges of our young people is he had faced adversity himself, and he had to find his way through it. He had struggled with addiction earlier in his life. And rather than let those struggles overcome him or isolate him, he turned it into a kind of righteous energy and used that to reach young people who themselves were struggling in so many ways. He used it to relate to them and connect to them. And that empathy allowed him to be great and to reach so many. And he said something simple to his daughter, who will come up here in a moment, and to receive the honor on his behalf. He said, if you want to be a teacher, you have to do it for the love of educating others. Break that sentence down. Love was the animating force, that love of his fellow human, and his belief that by providing education to a young person, that was the greatest gift he could give. So we really want to honor all that he did, and I really want to thank all of you for giving him this honor. And I'd like his daughter, Kristen Rajek, to come up here and accept the award on his behalf.